Hi, I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Theory Tuition series where I'll lead you step by step through the ABRSM Theory Grades. There are lots of resources available to help you on my website. If you visit sharonbill.com, you'll find some free PDF information sheets. They're available to download in US letter or A4 and they accompany each step of this series. There's also a page with links to all of my YouTube video tutorials, and you can also access information about the books that I have available. I've written an exam technique guide, how to take your ABRSM Music Theory Exam. It's full of tips and techniques on how to best prepare for your exam and also how to best make use of the time when you're actually in the exam room working through your exam paper. So if you visit sharonbill.com, you'll find it's all there. If you can give me a like, that'd be really great, and subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's lots more in store. And so now we're going to crack on with paper C of the 2016 Grade 5 theory papers. So this paper will have been sat in the last part of 2016, the third exam session. So turn with me to page 16. And we'll make a start on this. So I'm hoping that you've had a crack at this yourself. Do have a go. It doesn't matter if you get bits and bobs wrong. It's always better to learn by your mistakes. So just have a crack at it and then we'll work through it together. So we'll go through this together now. So question 1 asks us, it says the following extract begins on the first bit of the bar and contains some changes of time signatures. So it's asking us to put the correct time signatures in the 3 places that are marked. So it's going to change time signature, so we just need to keep our eyes peeled. So we need to choose our time signature for this first bar here. So we first of all need to decide what our bottom number is going to be. Are we counting in crotchet beats, quarter notes, or are we counting in quavers, eighth notes? Now this first note here tells us we're counting in a group of 3. We can't just count that in crotchets or quarter notes because of the dot, so that tells us that we're counting in groups of 3 and we're counting in quaver beats here. Well, we're definitely counting in quaver beats. It may not be groups of 3 actually, thinking about it. It could be an irregular time signature. So, but for sure we know that our bottom number is 8 here. So let's see how many quaver beats, how many eighth notes we've got. So this one here breaks into 3 because this note divides into 2 quaver beats, and then the half as much again gives us another. So that's 3 quaver beats so far, or 3 eighth notes. This one here divides into 2. And then here we know that 4 32nd notes or 4 demi-semiquavers make the same time as 2 semiquavers, 2 16th notes, which in effect is the same as 1 quaver. And so what have we got here? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quaver beats. So yeah, we've got 2 groups of 3, 6, 8. Let's have a look at the next bar. So here we've got to decide again what our bottom number, and again we can see here we've got very small note values, we've got small increments here, and so I would guess that our bottom number is 8. Let's try that. So we have 2 demi-semiquavers or 2 32nd notes, which we know make a semiquaver. Here we have another semiquaver, and so those 2 make a quaver or an eighth note. We know that this breaks down into 4 because we've got 2 crotchet beats, 2 quarter notes, which gives us 4 quavers, 4 eighth notes. We can just break that down there. We've got another one here, and then here we've got a semiquaver or a 16th note, and then 2 demi-semis or 2 32nd notes, which will make another quaver or a semiquaver or a 16th note. And then we can see that those 2 there will break down again into a quaver or an eighth note. So altogether, if our bottom number is 8, we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 over 8. So we've got an irregular time signature there, so that makes sense. Let's have a look at this one. So at first glance here, we could think that our bottom number is 4 because we've got 2 crotchets or 2 quarter notes here. However, this then is much too small, so we're not going to be able to complete another crotchet beat or another quarter note. So we're going to have to think in 8 again. So we're thinking in quaver beats again. So we know that the crotchet here or the quarter note breaks down into 2 quavers, 2 eighth notes. We've got the same again here. And then here we know that 4 demi-semis or 4 32nd notes take the same time as 2 semis or 2 16th notes, and 2 semis we know make 1 quaver, 1 eighth note. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 8. So we just have to do the maths and break it down a little bit at a time. So that's that one completed. Let's move on. So section B asks us to look at the following extract and then answer the questions below. So everything's going to be relating to this little piece of music here. So first of all, we're asked to describe the chords A and then B, and we need to say whether it's chord 1, 2, 4 or 5, and also whether it's root position or an inversion. Now very helpfully, they tell us that the key is A major, so let's just map out what our choices could be. So in A major, we've got chords 1, which is A, 2, 4 and 5, so A, B, C we're not doing, 3, so D and E. So we need to build up the triad from the 1st, the 3rd and the 5th. If you find that tricky to do in your head, you can always just check on the piano keyboard 1st, 3rd, 5th. So we know we're going to have an A, C, E, B, D, F, D, F, A, E, G, B. And then we can also say whether we've got root position or the 1st and 2nd inversion. So that's all the thinking done. So now let's have a look at what we've got here. What notes have we got? We've got bass clef, F. Doesn't matter, I know it's F sharp, but your key signature takes care of all of that, so we don't need to worry about that. We've got an F, a D, an A and a D. So DFA will fit that, so we know it's a chord 4. However, because the root note is F, we've got an F in the bass. It's the 1st inversion, so we need to say 4B to accurately describe that. Let's have a look at the next chord. So here we've got a D in the bass, then we've got a D, F and then a B. So D, F and B fits to chord 2, which is a B, D, F, so it's a chord 2. That's half the marks done. And then we need to say which position it is. Because the D is in the bass, we know it's a 2B. There we go, that's right. Now then, let's move on to the next one. So it says below the staves, so below the staves here, we need to write 1C5 under 2 successive chords, so 2 chords next to each other where this progression occurs. So we need to find a 1C and then we need to find a 5. Now 1C will have an E in the bass, and then 5 will also have an E in the bass. So we're looking for 2 E's next to each other. And so if we just glance through, however, top tip is 1C5 is, here we are, 1C5 is usually at a cadence point. So I'm just looking ahead, it's going to be close to the end. I mean, you can tell here though, straight away, there's no E followed by an E. Here we've got an E followed by an E an octave lower, so I'm hoping that this will be our chords. So 1C has got an E in the bass, but we need to have a chord with A, C, E in it. We've got an E, we've got a C, E and an A, so that's definitely our 1C potential. And then chord 5 needs to have an E in the bass, and then we need E, G, B, so we've got E, B, G, so yeah, definitely 1C5. That's that one successfully completed. Let's have a look at the last question. So the last question asks to rewrite the first two left-hand notes of the extract so that they sound at the same pitch, but we need to use the alto clef. Now they've popped the alto clef there for us. We just need to add the key signature and then the first two left-hand notes of the extract. So the key signature, we need 3 sharps, C, D, E, F, sharp, top space, C sharp, middle line, and then G sharp, top line. There we go. And so now just make sure that you keep middle C as your anchor point so that you don't end up losing an octave either too high or too low. So let's have a look. The first two left hand notes. So here's our middle C. So the B below the middle C is our second note, and the E below the middle C is our first note, which is a 5th lower. So actually I'm going to do the second note first. So there's middle C. So the B is a step below, and then the E is a 5th lower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 3, 5. Just counting down in spaces, and then we can double check that. C, B, A, G, F, E. There we go. So we know that that's correct, and we've got the correct octave too. And now we've made them to quavers, and that's that one complete. And so let's just have a look at the next question. So now this is just not relating to that music any longer. We've got a separate question, and it's asked us to describe fully each of the numbered and bracketed melodic intervals. So the intervals are coming one after the other. However, even though the lowest one may come second, we're always counting up from the lowest. We sort of treat the lowest note as our key note, as if it's the tonic, and then we work it out from there. So here we've got from this B flat to this C. However, remember it's a C sharp because that accidental is still active. And so we know we've got a 1, 2 of some sort. It's a second. Now B flat to C would be major. However, we've made it greater by augmenting it. If you just visualise that, B flat to C would be part of the major scale of B flat major, but we've made that bigger. We've augmented that by raising the C to a C sharp, and so we have an augmented second. Let's carry on. And so now we have a 1, 3, 4, a fourth of some sort. Now E flat to A flat would be a perfect fourth. However, E flat to A flat, the A flat has been raised by the natural sign, so we've made that bigger, we've augmented it, and so we have an augmented fourth. There we go. Let's look at this next one. And so we have definitely more than an octave here. This exceeds an octave. So what I'm going to do, I'm just jumping from this B to this B here. So we know we've got a compound interval, and then we've got a 1, 3, 5. We've got a compound fifth. Now B to F sharp would be perfect. However, there's no F sharp, either accidental or key signature, so it's not quite as big, it's a little bit smaller, and so we know that it's diminished because we go straight from perfect to diminished, and so we know we've got a compound diminished fifth. There we go. Alternatively, you could count the whole 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 12, and we could count that as a diminished 12th. You just have to know that it doesn't go to minor, it goes perfect to diminished. Ooh, diminished 12th, there we go. Let's have a look at this next one. So we're going from this same note B, but now we're going up to an A, So we've got a 1, 3, 5, 7. Now B major would have A sharps, and so because there's no A sharp, we're not quite major, we've come down a semitone, and so it's minor, so we know that we've got a minor 7th there. And then the last one, here we go. Got a 1, 3, 5, 6th. Our lowest note is E. E major would have C sharps, and so that's part of the major scale, and so we'd call that a major 6th. And there we go, that's that question completed. I do hope that's helpful to you. We'll continue with the next question in the next video. If you can give me a like, that'd be really great. I do hope that you're finding this helpful. Please do subscribe to my channel to keep updated. Please do visit sharonbill.com and make use of all the resource that's available to you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.